time, as well as those who are new to KBTU business and scientific community. Let me introduce myself. I'm Asil Junusiyet. I work for KBTU since 2007. I'm professor of business school. And today I and my colleague, Ms. Diana Amirbekova, will moderate our session. And we would like to discuss questions regarding the integration of digital technology into all areas of the business and education. That's fundamentally changing how we operate and deliver the value to our clients. And my colleague Diana is an associate professor in the field of management and organizational behavior. And Diana, what do you think during our session today? Could we prove an idea that's transforming, thing that's transforming is not a technology, it's technology that's transforming us?
Thank you, Asil. Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining us today. That's right. So today we're going to talk about the various topics related to the business education, recent changes, things that affected the business in the recent years, as well as the digital transformation and economic development. So we have speakers representing banking sector, consulting, education, industry. So I hope that today during our discussion we will be able to answer some of these questions and dive into several topics related to this, including digital transformation, the view from the academia, the view from industry, and what actually universities should do in order to prepare talents for industry in regards to the current changes and the current challenges related to the digitalization of the economy and all of the things that companies are also facing at this time. Asil, please.
Thanks. And we better start. And our first speaker is the Director of Academic Affairs in International School of Management, Dr. Matthew Andrews, will share ISM experience and role of business education in digital transformation. And I would like to ask the question, Matthew, are you with us? Matthew, what do you think, how the COVID-19 pandemic that has affected the world's economies and has also stifled the education industry? What do you think?
Hi, hello everyone. Greetings from Paris, France. My name is Matthew Andrews. So I think COVID accelerated trends that were already present in higher education. I know that was the case for our institution where we had a substantial amount of online courses going, but it forced us, like almost every educational institution, to go more in that direction of online. And in our case, has resulted in developing a lot more asynchronous learning opportunities and flexible learning opportunities. Now from there, should I go into my presentation or?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. I'm going to share my screen. And so I hope you can all see my presentation. Is that coming through okay? All right. So I'm going to talk about digital transformation in higher education, specifically about the ISM curriculum. Dr. Mukashev asked me to really focus on a few courses that we teach in this area. For those of you who don't know us, the International School of Management, which is based in Paris, we offer courses to adult learners who study part-time while they pursue their careers. And we help them do that with flexible study options, as I was saying earlier, and COVID really accelerated the whole flexibility side of things. We do offer degree programs in the international MBA, doctorate of business administration, as well as a PhD in international management. We don't have undergraduate programs. We're not a traditional university. We offer specializations in our MBA and our PhD in international business, finance, entrepreneurship and innovation, and strategic technology. And the courses that I'm going to talk about are either foundational, so they're core courses, but most of them are elective courses. It's part of our flexibility model. And they are advanced electives, which in all cases are also specialization courses. So students can opt into those courses, even if they're not necessarily in that specific specialization. Or they take them because they want a group of courses in a specific area because they want a specialization in strategic technology, for example. And the way we do curriculum review at ISM, it's overseen by the executive leadership team, but we get input from our standing committees, notably the Industrial Relations Committee, the Academic Committee, and the Alumni Committee. So the Industrial Relations Committee consists of business representatives. They don't have any other link to ISM. They're not faculty. They're not administrators. They may be alumni, but for the most part, they're business representatives. And so they tell us what they think we should be doing as a business school. And we get input from the Academic Committee, which includes people like me, faculty, dean, and so on. And then we get input from our alumni, and that's how we make our decisions. In 2017, we held some meetings to introduce some new courses related to the management of digital technology. And we wanted to cover various digital technology trends from multiple angles. So I'm now going to present 6 of the courses that we introduced into our curriculum. The first one is called Technology Trends in Business, and it's a foundational course. It's a core course, so all of the MBA students have to take this course, and students in the other programs can opt in as an elective. And this course takes a critical approach to recent and emerging technology trends in business, because what happened when we were discussing our curriculum is our business representatives were enthusiastically encouraging us to do courses on blockchain and artificial intelligence and cryptocurrencies and all sort of the latest trends. But then the academic committee was a little bit more skeptical, and they said, well, you shouldn't just be teaching these trends without really assessing them, and you're not an engineering school. So what you need to do is teach your business students how to sort of sort through what is really meaningful and long-term and important to business and what might just be a passing fad. So we put together this course to explore the role of technology in society, the meaning of innovation, and ethical implications of technology, hoping to develop a critical view of these trends so that business people aren't just jumping on the train to jump on the train, but are really thinking about the business applications and what's going to be meaningful in the long term. So the principal topics covered in this course include electronic technology, the future of the internet, like online payment, Internet of Things, Internet of Experience, covers downsides and risks, covers artificial intelligence and voice recognition software. And I skipped virtual reality, augmented reality, mixed reality, blockchain, and cryptocurrencies. So we addressed these things that the Industry Relations Committee was really encouraging us to do, but in this kind of critical assessment course. And an example of an assignment for this course is you choose one emerging technology or technology trend and you assess its potential impact on current and future business models. Another course we introduced in 2018, which was not a new course for a lot of schools, but for us, it was a new course. And this was introduced as an advanced specialization course. Students could take it as an advanced elective or specialization in entrepreneurship. And we also count it towards the specialization in strategic technology. And so it focuses on disruptive innovation. It's a course that examines the trajectory of innovation and its theoretical and practical evolution. And as many of you probably know, this comes from Christensen from the Harvard Business School. It's his concept. It focuses on idea generation, the general principles of innovation management, on new frontiers of creativity and technological sources of sustainable competitive advantage for firms. And I'd say that's maybe the key focus of the course is competitive advantage and how to kind of develop that through innovation and how to leverage it and how to try and maintain it. And it's increasingly important for anyone in the corporate world aiming to succeed and outperform competition. So while it might appear as being very entrepreneurial, the point of view of a lot of business experts now is that it's something kind of everyone needs to know about. So the principal topics covered are, of course, Christensen's theory of disruptive innovation. That's really the basis of the course. And it dwells on types of innovations, theory of innovation, and the Schumpeterian creative destruction theory, which I think had a big influence on Christensen. It deals with the risks for successful disruptors. And as I said earlier, key focus is how a firm can beat its powerful competitors using disruptive innovation model and sustain innovation. So kind of take this idea, this theory, and apply it within a company. And so it's very much a strategic course. Managing the strategic development process of the disruptive innovation is a key part of this course. An example of a written assignment: describe the feasibility of a disruptive innovation opportunity and/or a business model that your company, business unit, or department team may pursue. And I'll just remind you that most of our students are working business professionals, so we always try to make our assignments as relevant as possible to their professional activity. Another course we introduced is digital transformation, which focuses on digitization. It's not only about technological innovation, however, nor is it a topic relevant only to startups with digital business models and innovative high-tech firms. A little bit like disruptive innovation, we consider this as something like all business people need to know now. And this focuses a lot on leadership. So digital transformation requires leaders and their whole organizations to recognize and appreciate the full potential of the digital era and its opportunities and challenges. And I'm sure you'll agree that digital technology has impacted almost everything we do, including this conference that we're having right now. Thanks to digital transformation, digital technologies, I'm able to participate quite easily from Paris. So principal topics that are covered in this course, 5 domains of digital transformation, which are customers, competition, data, innovation, and value. Building a digital ecosystem architecture. So it's about platforms, not just products. Turning data into assets, defining and scaling up an agile digital transformation, and leading change in the digital age. To some extent, it's close to a change management course, assuming that these sort of waves of digital technology are, as was said in the beginning of this conference, they're changing us. So they're changing how we do things. So it's a real focus on how business leaders and managers can lead those changes and not just be kind of like overwhelmed by them and reacting to them. So an example of a written assignment would be analyze a real digital transformation plan. We also introduced a course on FinTech, which also is an advanced elective and a specialization course, which counts towards entrepreneurship and finance and strategic technology. So it covers 3 different specializations in our system. And it explores FinTech fundamentals and helps make sense of this wave of change as it happens. It focuses a lot on new players in the financial industry, startups, technology firms, which are challenging traditional players in finance and bring democratization, inclusion, and disruption to the industry. So you can see there's some overlap and some links to the other courses I've been talking about. And so this is really about what kind of competition these new players are bringing to the existing financial infrastructure and how they are remaking the industry. Principal topics covered include major areas of FinTech, such as money and payment, digital finance, alternative finance, Once again, some technological trends here, really focusing on things like cryptocurrencies, blockchain, AI, and big data. The fundamental role of data and security and data-driven finance, business and regulatory implications of technology in the financial industry, which are very complex, especially if you're in Europe, when you're dealing with the impact across the European Union and within each of the countries. The impact of new technology on economies, the long-term impact on economies, markets, companies, and individuals. We have a lot of students who work in Africa, and the potential impacts on transactions in Africa is just enormous. A lot of interesting projects going on about that. Example of an oral assignment, analyze a fintech case study, make a 20-minute presentation. For our online version of this course, students can record that on YouTube and they submit the link. A written assignment, discuss financial services segment in which technology solutions have been used to solve problems more efficiently. And there, like I said, we've gotten a lot of really interesting projects from students in developing markets about fintech. We introduced a course on cybersecurity, which is an advanced elective and a technology specialization course, and it provides participants with a thorough introduction to 4 key cybersecurity topics, which are trends in current technology, risk assessment, preventative measures, and incident response. And the goal of the course is for participants to gain skills necessary to understand emerging threats, plan appropriate responses, implement preventative measures, and effectively respond to security breaches, cybersecurity breaches. So some of the principal topics covered include business, operational, and technical aspects of cybersecurity threats and ways of protecting the confidentiality, the integrity, and the availability of organizational resources. I'm sure you've all heard in the news over the recent months some big cybersecurity threats that have impacted a lot of companies around the world. It focuses on management and employee skills necessary to maintain and improve cybersecurity throughout a business organization. So what do managers and employees need to know to better assure cybersecurity from an admin point of view, a technical and a physical perspective? And it deals with the causes, mitigation, and remediation of cybersecurity breaches from an executive level. And an example of a forum discussion exercise from this course is formulate a logical, which is to say it could be inductive, deductive, or mixed argument for position you might want to take on a cybersecurity issue or stance. We always encourage our students to take that critical distance and to sort of think through these issues and these new technologies themselves and to put forth critical arguments. And then probably one of the more innovative courses which we introduced is called Emotional Intelligence and Artificial Intelligence. And for the moment, it's just an elective. We haven't actually attached it to a specialization per se, although we might. It happened kind of as an accident. We had a teacher who was supposed to teach a course and had to cancel at the last minute. So somebody else was filling in, and she really wanted to teach this course. And she was someone we had worked with for years and trusted a lot. So she actually proposed and tested out this new course. And it's a simple idea, which is you take emotional intelligence and artificial intelligence and juxtapose them and talk about the benefits and strengths of one and how they fit together. So it aims to critically assess the concept of artificial intelligence and emotional intelligence to develop students' abilities to identify specific strategies to increase emotional intelligence, which is a typical goal of any emotional intelligence type course or training program. Critically assess, critically examine how AI can be used to enhance organizational processes and create awareness of the importance of ethical considerations in the use of AI in the workplace. And some of the principal topics covered are emotional intelligence skills, such as self-awareness, independence, and the ability to collaborate. And the need among managers for emotional intelligence as an essential part of 21st century package of skills and knowledge, so people skills. Potential limits of current approaches to automated knowledge and decision-making when faced with uniquely human factors such as emotions and culture, and the development of a technology-mediated project that integrates concepts of emotional intelligence. So really insisting on the reality, which is however much we have confidence and hope, and we're excited about technologies like artificial intelligence, the human factor can never be underestimated. It's absolutely essential for decision making. And so example of a written assignment: propose an AI mediated project that helps an organization adhere to group emotional intelligence norms, or propose an AI mediated project that helps prevent employees from violating group emotional intelligence norms. We're kind of stimulating thinking from both sides, and how these two concepts are related. So the conclusion, what's our experience with these courses since 2018? Technology trends in business, we've offered it several times, primarily online, and it's enjoyed solid enrollment. Of course, that's probably because most students have to take it. Strong student satisfaction, we're very happy with this course and how it's going. Disruptive innovation, we've offered it twice in person, solid enrollment and strong student satisfaction. We like offering it in person. We haven't tried it online. We don't have any plans of doing it online because we think it really needs to be an in-person live experience with a lot of synchronous discussion going on. Digital transformation is our most recently introduced course. It's offered online. We only started it a few months ago. The enrollment is good, but of course it's too early to assess student satisfaction because it's currently running. FinTech, we've offered once in person, twice online, solid enrollment, and students really enjoy it. They're getting a lot out of it. Cybersecurity has been the most difficult course for us. We offered it once in person in 2018. Only 5 people signed up for it, and we revamped it recently and offered it online. But we still have very weak enrollment, even if the student satisfaction from 2018 was fine. I think it's a course that most students and business people know that they probably should be taking, but they don't necessarily want to take it, and they think they're afraid it's going to be too technical. So we'll have to see how that goes. If enrollment remains very weak, we might not continue to offer. Emotional intelligence and artificial intelligence, created in 2018, has been going really well. We've offered it once in person, twice online. Very solid enrollment and very strong student satisfaction. So we're very happy with the way this course, which we just tested out as an experiment, has worked out. So that's the end of my presentation. I hope you found it valuable. Thank you for your time, and thank you for the opportunity to present at this conference.
Thank you, Matthew, for sharing the experience of ISM, because as you mentioned several times, like the human skills, those individuals who are going to be working in the companies, these are the people who need to have all of the skills, especially like in emotional intelligence, in fintech, in other areas that you mentioned. And the strategic alignment of the company's goals, company's competencies in a way that how individuals can contribute to this is quite essential and critical. Our next speaker, partner head of technology consulting in KPMG Kazakhstan, Konstantin Aushev, will share the view of KPMG company on the current changes related to digital transformation and its successful implementation. Konstantin, the floor is yours, please.
Yes, thank you. Thank you. Hello, colleagues. First of all, I'm very sorry for not being offline with you there in KBTU. I was really hoping to do this, but suddenly there were some force majeures at my side. Well, yes, let me share my screen and go on with the presentation. So 1 second. Yeah. So yes, I'm Konstantin Aushev. I'm represent technology consulting practice in the region of Central Asia. I'm based here in Kazakhstan, and today I was thinking for quite a long time how it is better to start my presentation, and finally I start with such a basic, simple slide which we demonstrated several times. I think not only we, not only us, the basic pillars of digital transformation to better understand what skills are required for those who should be responsible for digital transformation. And as you previously said, it is a general concept that such professionals should have all the skills, but we should pay some deeper attention to some of them. And from our point of view, of course, the digital transformation has three main components such as data, technology, and different and ability to establish different partnerships, such as such thing that we call the ecosystem thinking. And all of these are based on cybersecurity and sustainability and resilience. It's just the basic concept that we think reflect the basic skill set of today digital transformation officers. But it is in the theory. What we will see if go to practical side. Here we, as the KPMG, conducted several studies, and one of them was conducted not so many time ago, when we inquired different managers, top managers, CEOs in different countries, and asked them about their tactics, the tactics they use in terms of digital transformations. Here we see that the first tactic was increasing investment in this disruption detection and innovation processes. So something like innovation management, if we try to cover this as a one short capability to implement in different educational programs. Another one was joint industry consortia focused on development of innovative technology. So in terms of capabilities, we call it cross-industry product design, ability to design such products that should cover ideas, should cover interactions, collaborations with different market participants, not only from the market that we used to operate in. Another tactic was constant assessment of companies' culture and values. It is in the previous presentation we heard about necessity of those cultural change management, and here we think that this topic, this insight reflects the necessity of investment of learning how to proper conduct change management. Then partnership with different third-party cloud technology providers. And here, even in Kazakhstan, we see the importance of such topic as cloud. Yes, we have a lot of regulatory concerns. Sometimes we see doubtful position in terms of for particular industries, but still we see a huge interest among the companies to partnership and to investments in cloud technologies. And finally, also interesting technique, tactic is was about making products and services available via different online platforms, marketplaces, and so on. So something like e-commerce and digital marketing. So I think that these five components, five capabilities are important ones for future skill set and future educational programs. And what it means that actually educational programs in terms of digital, in terms of higher educational programs, for postgraduate programs, will become more narrow, will become more specialized in different topics. And if we see for roles established in different organizations during the course of digital transformation, we see the trend of establishing 3 roles that are quite difficult to be these are the roles where organizations expect particular difficulties in terms of hiring, in terms of searching for right people. The first one is the CDO. CDO, we can, and it doesn't matter how we, what we mean under this term, chief digital officer or chief data officer. It's always quite a challenge to hire a proper CDO or CDTO. And today, globally, there are about 11% of companies who already has a dedicated CDO role. Another important role for leading digital transformation projects is enterprise architect. And it is interesting that this role remains among top 5 most demanding skills in our CIO surveys. And finally, as digital transformation is based on data from user experience, UX user experience managers are also a priority for a number of organizations. If we remember that the fundamental part of those digital transformation concept in our first slide was sustainability and resilience, we should also pay attention to the risks arising from different digital projects. And we should understand that those people who are well educated and who leads digital transformation projects, they should have a proper understanding of how to manage these risks and which risks are the most important today. Of course, we have plenty of risks, but if we see to the surveys of CEO, there was a question what risks are the most important for them. They particularly highlighted such risks as, of course, talent risk, hiring right people, and then supply chain risk, because during the pandemic, a lot of supply chains, a lot of logistics routes were broken. Then, of course, cybersecurity risks, because we became more exposed to different cybercrime. Then environmental and climate change risks. This is the particular trending topic in all the markets and in Kazakhstan as well, the topic like ESG. And other risks are such as disruptive technology, regulatory, and other operational issues. We also conducted separate studies for Central Asia, for Kazakhstan and other countries in the region. And one of the questions was to assess to assess views of different directors of different companies in the region. What do they think? What will be the most demanding skill set in the future? And what positions are closed in the most difficult way now? And here we see that there are a lot of common things between the regions, between Kazakhstan, other Central Asian countries, and global, but with some local features, let's say. Yeah. Now, for example, Kazakh companies said that the most demanding and difficult area to hire and to learn is advanced data analytics, data science. Also, they highlighted such topics as mobile development, data engineering, and the last and not so interesting, but also mentionable topics were intelligent automation like low-code, RPA, and agile project management. For Central Asian countries, mobile development was the first one, and globally, we saw the significant rise of cybersecurity skill. And there were also such more, let's say, soft skills, management skills like behavioral change management. In terms of
1 minute left, okay, 1 minute.
Okay, yeah. In terms of particular technologies, we actually did not meet such a bright answers that, for example, cloud computing and nothing else. We saw that most directors, they mentioned that in today's world, it doesn't important what skill set, what stack of technologies people mastered in. It is very important to be flexible in terms of learning learning and reskilling from one stack to another. And it is also in terms of HR surveys also very important thing, such a reskilling, which assessed this to be the most important part to shaping the workforce. And this for learning and development, it just means that we will see more narrowed projects, more narrowed educational projects that would include implementation of different robotic things, application of artificial intelligence, and so on, to develop personalized learning programs. So actually, this were the last slide from my presentation. Just two predictions, what we will see in the nearest future. It was predictions from 1930 that already in a couple of years, not about 6 years, 7 years, yeah, we will have better standards of living, and we will work just 15 hours per week. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Konstantin. Thank you. Your presentation was interesting, and we understood that we need to improve our IT skills as minimum, yeah? And I would like just to introduce our next speaker, Mr. Oskar Smagulov. Oskar, he's a member of the management board, deputy CEO of one of the famous and popular bank in Kazakhstan. It's a Halyk Bank. And before we start, Oskar, just a quick question. Is the banking industry in a digital arm race? Because I know that in 2018, banks globally plan to invest around 10 billion US dollars to enhance their digital capability. Okay, so what do you think about this question?
Yeah. Hello, everyone. I just looked up, I remember a few weeks ago, I read the research from quite an influential analyst from Wells Fargo. His name is Mike Mayo. So he said, he estimated that banks spend around $200 billion right now on technology. So this is, and the article was called, so developers are the new bankers. So the number is 20 times that you put. And this is without the venture capitalists that invest billions of dollars into fintech. I guess it's another 100 plus per year. And in our case, in case of Halyk Bank, this part of the bank is the fastest growing. We would love to hire more people, but simply don't have enough talent capacity in the market to hire. So let's get into the presentation. Will someone help me to put on the slides? Yeah. So we're here today to talk about business education and breeding talent. So the digital transformation certainly requires a talent. In our case, assembling the right team of technology, data, process people who can work together with a strong leader is, in our case, was the single most important step when we thought about, or we started our journey for digital transformation. So yeah, thank you. Give me a moment. Yep, thank you. Where do I point? В какую сторону? Ага, окей, отлично. So let's start with the technology. The number of technologies, of emerging technologies, is simply staggering. So from open APIs, from data lakes to robotization, this is not science fiction. This is today. these are the technologies that we are dealing right now at Halyk Bank on a daily basis. If you look at your phone, it's sleek, it's simple, and some of the technologies may look quite simple, but they're not. So for us, for technology people working with hand in hand with our business people, it is understanding how particular technology may help to transform the business, then adapting it to the specific needs and integrating it with our existing systems is the most important. Just like many companies, we at the bank have legacy systems, legacy technologies that are quite difficult to change. So every time we bring new technology to the table, we need to make sure that it properly works with our existing systems. Another critical issue, and I guess many companies have faced the same problem, is that many business people have lost faith in the IT. As IT functions, IT departments were primarily focused on keeping the lights on or on business as usual stuff. So in our case, so rebuilding this trust was quite essential. So we as a technologists need to provide and demonstrate to our business people the value with every technology we bring. And it's basically the question that we hear from our business people, show me the money. So how this will help me to make more money. The next one, on data, as Konstantin rightly put, so transformation requires much better data quality and analytics. Right now at the bank, we're dealing with the new types of data. One of them, for example, is unstructured data. One of the examples, for example, client-supplied selfie. Since the pandemic started in March 2020, we've onboarded more than 2 million people, and we had to learn how to use and how to interpret, how to store, for example, selfies made by our clients. We're dealing with the massive quantities of external data. For example, in our score engine that we use to make loan decisions for self-employed individuals, we use prices from the classified services from OLX, for example. Then on top of that, we have our existing data that we need to leverage, and then we need to put everything together. Again, to echo on what Konstantin was saying, so most companies know that the data is important, and they know that the quality, unfortunately, of the data is not that good, or actually bad. And yet they waste resources by failing to put the proper roles and responsibilities in place. So we address this by creating proper CDO office, and this is a Chief Data Office. We have 100 plus right now engineers and data scientists, and we also appointed data stewards across our business lines. And to continue on this one, we found it important to convince our business people, our front office people, that to take on new roles because they are the starting point for data creation. And also we trying to convince our business people to improve their processes so they create data correctly. The next one is, the next pillar is process. So transformation, what we've learned, requires end-to-end mindset, rethinking of the ways to meet customer needs, ability to manage across silos. I put the example when Michelangelo was asked, how do you cut your sculptures? And he said, well, it's simple. You go to the bone, you go to the skin, and then stop. Same with the business process. You have to have clear vision in mind. How would you like a process to look? It has to be simple. It has to be well thought, and it has to basically be well, simple probably is I'll stop there. So on silos in the bank we have 60 plus departments, and at first we found it there's this process management when you need to make sure that your process works seamlessly across your business lines, across the silos with the single focus on the client, very difficult. And in some cases, what we've done, we've created dedicated teams, we call them tribes, working on particular product or service. And when someone asks us or me, how do you decide which process to re-engineer or which process to create basically from the scratch, it's a fine line. And I simply rephrase the serenity prayer. It's a fine line. You have to decide. Some call it strategic sense, but if you are the one who will decide which process to change or which process to basically re-engineer from the scratch, well then God helps you. And the last one, the organizational change. We found that to support the digital transformation, organization needs to change as well. We need people from with both soft and hard skills. I put on the slide few of the soft skills that we're looking for. On hard skills, I found one of the frameworks, it's called DICE, where D stands for duration, I for integrity, C for commitment, and E for efforts. It's just an example. And in our case, it could be a good predictor whether the particular project will succeed or fail. And again, transformation is never a single initiative, it's a program. So you need to make sure that you prioritize and manage this portfolio of initiatives. To conclude, so we looked at the technology, at data, the processes and organizational changes as if they exist in isolation. Unfortunately, they do not. So ideally, what we're looking or we would like to see in candidates or people or our colleagues who join us is the knowledge of all of these 4 domains. And again, I would echo to what Matthew was saying. Yeah, all of these areas are important. But if candidate lacks all 4 of them, one of them could be a good starting point. Thank you.
Thank you, Oskar, for your insights from the banking sector. And we know that banking is one of the oldest one, and we see how the big the transformation is. And on one side, you'll have your human capital that needs to work for the bank, but also you see the other side, which are the customers of the bank. And in innovation management, we have a concept of the chasm. So basically, how would you make people who don't accept the innovations and the change to cross that gap and become those recipients of innovations and the change. So in our case, it would be the banking service. Our next speakers representing the oil and gas industry, one of the largest oil and gas companies, NCOC. I believe we have our colleagues here in the room and also online, Dmitry Salov and Roland Kass. Would you please provide your insight on the transformation that your company is going through and what really happened to your organization in the last 10 years in regards to digital transformation? Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much for the invite to this conference. My name is Roland Kass. I'm the technical IT manager for NCOC, the North Caspian operating company. And I'm not physically in the room, as you can see. I'm dialing in from Atirau. Instead of a presentation, we thought it would be quite useful to demonstrate a video that we have, in fact, that will be shown, and you have that available. And it's called Connecting Kazakhstan. During that video, NCOC will introduce elements of its digital transformation and new ways of working. Could you start the video, please?
The main objective of the digital strategy in NCOC The main objective of digital strategy is main objective is main objective is
Apologies for this technical issue.
The main objective of the digital strategy in NCSC is to ensure that we can extract as much
Thank you. So in this video, we really saw how your company is actually doing with the transformation. What's happening with the audio? I think it's not the issue with this. No, I closed it. So how do you hear me now? So let's try. No, it's not okay, you see. Apologies for this technical issue, so we'll resume in 3 minutes. So how do you hear me now, guys? Good. Okay. So in this video, we actually saw how the company has changed and has grown in the recent years, and what really, like, what work we put into the digitalization, and actually making all of the changes related to delivering and like doing the job in a new era of transformation. So I will ask you a question. In your opinion, so what are the major challenges for your company, for this industry in particular, to go through the digital transformation? And also, what about the skills that you need currently in your employees? As University KBTU being one of the leading universities in oil and gas, and when we were established, the oil and gas was our primary activity. We would really want to learn more about your current vision and your insights. Thank you.
Yeah, if you want to take this question more from a generic and general industry perspective as a private citizen, is that what you see in the industry is that and what we'd like also the universities to focus on, that next to the fact that students are of course specializing in a certain area, they also train and develop themselves as data scientists and miners. Analysts, really, because data is at the heart of digital, as was clear from the video, and in all kind of challenges that we have in the industry around business process automation, and we want to make sure that ultimately the outcome is improved in terms of minimizing exposure to manpower, increase efficiency, enable remote working, as we have now in this conference as an example. Now to handle big data analytics and do that, in fact, getting better insights in how to control, reduce costs, managing the supply chain, reducing stock levels and so on. But also, of course, it's very much important to see and look at the environment and the energy consumption in several industries. This is really a hot topic item. Predictive analytics had to be better equipped with looking into the future, obviously, and to reduce, in that respect, maintenance costs, increasing uptime of the plants, whatever industry that is, but also to be eager and look around into innovative technologies. And I think the other speakers mentioned several of them already, areas into artificial intelligence, machine learning, blockchain. But also really looking into how we best can more generate data from the field where data is stranded, and equipment not equipped really with the latest digital technologies, and how can it be done with smart sensors and fiber optics networks and robotics and so on. But also that not only focusing therefore from the technology and how to extract data, but also looking at it from a value perspective. So because it's not to really apply technology in itself. It's obviously the value ultimately the outcome, the business outcome that industries like to see, and with that being able to articulate that and focus on that, and obviously then incrementally through agile ways of working, deliver the products that are needed to deliver that outcome. So that's basically more of a generic statement around what you see happening in the industry, and or how to apply, let's say, the several learnings and technologies that we would like to see people developing themselves. Does this answer your question?
Roland, may I add as well? My name is Dmitry Salov. I'm also from NCOC. So it's absolutely correct. The variety of skills that we are looking at is very broad, but we should all remember that digitalization cannot happen by IT itself. So IT should not be, if the IT is the only one who is driving it, that's definitely going to fail. So, and the only way to extract the value from digitalization in the company, in any development, is to do it together with the business, to do it together with the technology, but also with the business side. So, of course, to get that value, IT and business has to learn
how to work together, has to actually embed itself, has to have a clear communication and clear work between the systems, between the people, and between the technology. So, and that translates in the requirement to the skills. So, the best skills that we see, the best results that we see, that yield the best results, are actually the skills that involve both the IT side and that also in the business side. So we have the reservoir engineers who become IT guys, are doing fantastic jobs, fantastic ideas. They come in with the great ideas with automation, with digitalization, and so on. ITs that are putting themselves, IT guys that are learning and teaching themselves, or developing in the areas of the oil and gas, or developing in the areas of finance, becomes a very good customers, very good consultants, very good specialists. That is actually that we actually very much in demand on the market. So the mixture, the good IT guy is a good IT guy. Is a good, but he is an IT guy. So digitalization is about driving the changes in the business first of all. So when the IT guy, good IT guy, becomes the expert also in the business side, that's really the bomb. That's really what makes a difference. So this is what our observation is. We are trying to act upon this vision in our demand, in our also the way we do the business. Roland mentioned that we looking at agile ways of working and also bringing up together the IT and the business. So that's the future. That's what we think the most, and that's what we actually expect from from the universities and the other bodies that is developing the specialists to take into account. Thank you.
So thank you very much, Roland and Dmitry. Thanks for your comment. KBTU is following the same, we call it like a multidisciplinary approach. And thanks for the video. We've got about the huge changes during the last 2 years. Okay, and of course we should follow our schedule, and there are some changes in our schedule, and I have to limit our speakers, speech of our speakers to 7 minutes. And our next speaker, I would like just to present Bigar Susimbayev. He is the Director of Branch Office in the AIFC, and he will tell about digital transformation in oil and gas industry. Bigar, please, floor is yours.
Thank you. So let me share my screen. Okay, can you hear me? Can you see me?
We can.
Yeah, greetings from Astana Finance International Center. So from Nur-Sultan. So great to see you, all of you. So today my topic will be, I will try to short, likely all the speakers say brilliant things, ideas. Who we are. So we are part of the IT business representatives. We are spread on the oil and gas regions, and we are the company who providing the digital transformation within the oil and gas market. From general to the, let's zoom out. So particularly Kazakhstan, we are in the middle of the range market. So according to the different indexes, we are in different locations, which is good because for us, we have seen this as challenges and also opportunities. If zoom into the oil and gas, we could see the classical pyramid of automation. On the left side and the right side, we could see the digital trends. And we are like a delivery service providers. We're doing all the things, but we never recommend to do the digital approaches solutions without doing the basic IT and OT coverage for each side. So I will say briefly about the technologies. So for instance, we could see the boom of the digital twin solutions. We could do some of them. In IoT, 2021, we have 25 billion IoT connect with the worldwide, but nobody knows anything about Kazakh market. Unfortunately, we are waiting for the OneWeb Starlink. but we have to work with the technology which is presented in our market. This is private LTE, GSM, LP1. Particularly our solutions, which is we realized in the west of Kazakhstan, saying that the oil gas operator is ready for that, and they are doing this. Let me demonstrate in my video. And the new trends in HSC and digital transformations, because operational excellence should be covered by the HC excellence approach as well, because at the end of the day, we are all of humans, so your stuff should be safe, your data should be secure, so all your digital IT, OT solutions should be sustainable and in line with decarbonizations, with other things which is we are facing now, because all the market is changing now, and oil and gas operators is also changing their digital transformation strategies, which is very good. This is one example. We are practitioner, and we see that some examples when the IR VR solution is already in the place in solutions, is implemented in oil and gas operators, where especially for the remote operators, for the guests from administrative personnel visiting the digital oil field. So we could pilot projects with the extended warehouse, providing the inventory process with the VR technologies. I will miss this one. Yeah. So we have a hype technologies like AI, but beyond the AI, we could see that quantum machine learning. We could see the some releases, some pilot projects with European oil and gas companies, which is very good, outstanding results is coming soon. And a couple of things about in line with academic audience. We are like part of the whole market. We also sacrificing with some business needs. This is just small list of their digital competences as we really needed for the achieving and providing our digital solutions for our customers. And the role of the CDO, in the end of the day, he needs to cover the technology, process, and people. I absolutely support what Dima said from NCSC. Really need to cover the CDO, all the areas, not only the IT and the data. You need to cover get the sponsorship from the business. Without this, lot of things unfortunately fail. And each challenge in oil operator, gas operators is unique. So each solution should be two. So as we are moved into the new age of data-driven technology, oil and gas farms should consider all tools at their disposal to see what they can leverage. They must look at their unique situation, consider their resources available for them, then take a smart choice about the best adopt technology to move forward. And those companies who can do it well will be the champions of the new era of oil and gas now. And now, this is a theory part. Let me please demonstrate a small video. Can you see my screen now? I would kindly ask to demonstrate the video from your side, if you possible.
Because is starting, yeah.
What do you know about the digital field? The digital field is an operational management system. It provides real-time data on the field, timely identification of problems, and prompt decision-making. One of such digital field projects was implemented by IQS Engineering in a consortium with ABC Group for Kaspineft JSC. During the first phase of the project, the field facilities were inspected, a technical solution was developed, equipment was selected, and a working draft was developed, which allowed to move on to the next phase of the project. The project used advanced technological solutions from global manufacturers Honeywell and Emerson. The most complex problems were solved with the help of extensive experience and knowledge in management, optimization, and capacity increase of production facilities. Built on the proven technologies of the Experion platform, the Plant Cruise system is an integrated, low-cost manufacturing solution. The Plant Cruise SCADA is a powerful software platform that integrates the latest human-machine interface, HMI, and supervisory control and data acquisition, SCADA, systems. Plant Cruise's distributed system architecture, DSA technology, makes it easy to integrate Experion servers into a single system. The next stage was the supply of equipment and software. At this stage, we supplied such equipment as programmable logic controllers, regulating valves, pressure sensors, temperature sensors, vortex, electromagnetic and mass flow meters, the system of commercial accounting of the tank farm, and level indicators. And also supplied a video wall consisting of high-quality monitors with a diagonal of 55 inches and a wireless communication system. In record-breaking time, the Modernization Smart Field project was implemented. The facilities were automated, and it became a springboard for further innovations. The Smart Field concept is capable of bringing the oil and gas industry to a new level, ensuring the competitiveness of production companies and reducing the negative impact on the environment. The use of smart technology in the field allows us to take a step forward. The third stage was the implementation of the project. At this stage, there were construction and installation works on the arrangement of cable trenches, installation of masts, installation of data transmission systems, installation and wiring of cabinets, devices, control room equipment, development of SCADA visualization project. To implement such a large-scale project, IQS Engineering in a consortium with ABC Group involves specialists in different areas. The project includes automation of 43 wells, 3 oil collection points, oil treatment points, oil delivery point, and other facilities. In the process of modernization, 2 control rooms were built. The first at Arankol Field, the second at the office of Kaspineft in Adara. The project as a whole has been successfully implemented and is fully operational.
В 2018 году перед руководством компании была поставлена задача.
In 2018, the company's management was tasked with optimizing production processes in order to keep production at the current level. The company studied global experience in implementing such projects and came up with the idea of implementing the Smart Field project. The upper level of integration of all processes at the level of artificial intelligence and machine learning was implemented. Overall, the company's production has increased by 10%. In the long term, the results of implementing the digital field concept will allow to properly optimize oil production planning, increase well flow rates, increase turnaround time of the main equipment, thereby reducing the operating and capital costs of the company, which in turn will reduce the cost of production of raw materials.
Thank you, Begars, for your very interesting presentation and the video. We indeed see the power of IT solutions to save the cost for the company, to solve all of the problems that the company has with making the process more transparent, at the same time more efficient. And our next speaker is the Vikas Agarwal. Vikas is the regional head of policy Eurasia and new market development from ACCA. And we know that, again, like the areas such as accounting and the finance are quite traditional. And we would love to learn more about the activities of the ACCA during the times of preparing skilled talents, especially those who need to have some digital skills. Vikas, the floor is yours, please.
Hi, good evening. Just going to try and share some of my screen. Let's see if this works. Right. Does that work? Can you see that much of my screen? The slides?
Yeah.
You can? Brilliant. Okay, great. Okay, so, well, yes, look, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Vikas Agarwal. I'm, as said, I'm the Regional Head of Policy here at ACCA. I'd like to thank the Kazakh British University for inviting me today to speak, and very much to the audience for joining. Right, let's see if this goes along. Okay, so I'll start by saying, as ACCA, our belief is that you cannot expect good digital transformation without giving people the skills to do it. And taking a step back from that, we cannot give people the skills to do it unless we really understand digital transformation ourselves. So I'm going to take you through a bit of a journey between what ACCA is doing for our own digital transformation to then explain how we're helping others. And I'm going to go through just very quickly today, I'm conscious of time, sort of three areas. We know that transformation is touching everything we do, how we shop, how we communicate, how we find love, how we invest, and how we learn. But we need to take a step back and think about what is driving this change. What does it mean for finance and education? And actually, what is it? As I said, for us to be able to push this stuff out, we have to be able to walk the walk. We have a wealth of research, all of which is available online, on how technology and the digital world is impacting our lives, our working lives, our personal lives. A lot of the content, a lot of the insights have been mentioned already about skills, so I won't go too much into the detail, but all of our content is available online for you to see. Okay, so just thinking about digital transformation, I want to make one point clear, and that is that humans aren't going anywhere. The human touch will remain so incredibly important to ensure a fair and ethical, inclusive and sustainable business system. And I mean sustainable, not just in ecology sense, in a holistic sense, to make sure that it's going to be fit for purpose for the future. We might find as humans that we have to change and adapt. We have to work in new, unfamiliar ways. We have to reskill. But humans will always be present. That's the really important point to take away. Okay, so what's driving this change? Now, through our research, we identified 5 areas on how our sustainable organizations will change for the future. It's how they're going to operate, what they need to be concerned of, and then what professional accountants really need to be thinking about. It's also important to acknowledge the interdependencies between them. You cannot separate the economy from the environment. Likewise, you cannot separate society from technology. Workforce underpins all of them. So we have to bear that in mind. So, of course, technology is changing things, but it's really not so much about, it's not only about the type of technology we have, it's the fact that the proliferation of technology is enormous, right? Access to smart devices, internet, the rapid growth of social media and global engagement, all of these are enabling us to work in different ways. They're removing a lot of the dull, repetitive tasks that we've been burdened with in the past. It's really important to remember that. And people, it's the other half of this way. People are changing, preferences are changing. The new generations coming through are very different to previous generations. How we work, what we do, and how and why we create value, what we value, all of this is incredibly important. How we define our own purpose. You've got to think about the person at the center of this. Now, thinking very topically, for many people and for many organizations, COVID has really driven a boot through home and flexible working, through hybrid environments. We've seen with the pandemic about 5 years worth of innovation in 18 months. I liked one of the previous speakers who said we're going to go down to a 15-hour working week. I'm interested to see if that actually happens or not. But it's a good theory to consider. So no, okay, fine. So we, as a professional organisation, can't just think about the inputs and drivers. We, as the link between the academic world and the professional world, we have to ensure that our work delivers the right outcomes to ensure that finance professionals are fit for the future, and they'll continue to contribute to the sustainable business ecosystem. And so with this, we identified 4 career zones. This is through our research, particularly in finance and accountancy, but they can be taken more broadly. And this is really about the creation, the protection, and communication of value. Value is such an important word. We don't do things for the sake of doing them. We're doing them to create value. It could be monetary, it could be societal value, it could be shareholder value, all sorts of things. Now, linking this to the ACCA, and our journey, it's useful to map the evolution of technology alongside our history. It's as a starting point, looking at the digital landscape. Our over 100-year history, we've seen a huge change in the technologies that our accountants, our professionals, actually use. Early 80s, the use of desktops, mid 90s, the internet, and of course 2000s, to the shift to enterprise systems, smartphones, and again on-the-go cloud computing. When we think about this, we have to make the caveat that the past is not an indicator of the future. You can get some trends. You can obviously look at this, the sort of what might come, but the fact is that technology is changing everything we do at such a fast pace. So it's really quite hard to predict beyond what technologies we're going to have, how actually that's going to change the way in which we work. It's going to disrupt, but it's just worth keeping an eye on. Okay, so look, thinking about our customers, and this has to be you have to think about the customers. We need to reach out to our customers in a different way. We're in a much more competitive space with massive online open courses, but we do actually work with some of them, so we have to think about them as partners as well as competitors. But fundamentally, we're fighting for attention. And conversely, consumers reach out to organizations in a very, very different way. Consumer loyalty has gone, right? They want to... consumers aren't always now recipients of being told what to do and how to behave. They are now shaping how organizations operate. They're demanding change from organizations. They want organizations to adapt. And when they're not happy, they will make their views heard in a very, very wide and fast-moving and quite damaging way. And so when we think about the rapid increase in connectivity and technology revolution, has a lot of benefits, but it also brings with it a lot of risks that we need to manage as well. And this is what I mean about developing sustainable organizations. Now, a little while ago, we undertook a piece of research to look at the learning preferences of our constituents now and what they expect them to be in the future. And we can see that times are changing, right? So most use now, obviously, work-based learning, online tutorials. But what we're actually seeing is a shift to different types of preferred learning methods, and we have to be really, really cognizant of that. Right, online courses, bite-sized courses, modular, flexible, portfolio learning, hugely important for the future. There's a column there about studying for further qualifications other than ACCA. We might find that you want to. It's already been mentioned that you are an accountant, but also you're a data architect. But also you have an expertise in AI, and also you've got organizational psychology behind you. It's having that mixed learning is really, really important, and we have to adapt to it. So thinking about ACCA again and how we deliver what we need to deliver, we have to take a customer-centric approach. Now, we're no stranger to digital transformation internally. We were the first professional accountancy body to fully integrate a spreadsheet platform into our exams. We were one of the first movers in introducing a robust and secure way of using remote invigilation. Now, this was particularly important during COVID, but it also allowed us to reach out to developing economies, developing markets where we don't have the same, physical facilities. This has come with challenges, of course, partly assurance, Partly that we recognise not everyone has access to high-speed internet just yet, though it is growing. But we also have to remember that education is not just about learning; it's about experience and engagement. Now, a part of the joy of being a student is it's about the experience and the engagement, and it's about a part of the joy of learning and university is campus life, and that's something we have to really bear in mind. This is all available in our annual report, but we've begun our biggest digital transformation program ever. It's a 4-year journey looking to basically create the organization for the future. It's an ambitious project. We're replacing legacy systems to deliver the best-in-class experience for our members, and this is really about value creation. And also, but not just for our members and our students, but for everyone that we work with, our partners, our staff, our sort of our marketing platforms, all the rest of it. The investment is quite considerable, but it is necessary if we're going to continue to lead the profession. If we are going to deliver the professional accountants of the future, we ourselves have to be a leader in this field. You can't transform in half measures. It's not enough to transform just your outward facing platforms. Internal, as I said, is important too, especially if you want a single source of accurate information that is timely and shareable. Like data is so important. It's been mentioned already, but the data veracity is incredibly important. And as I said, this is really about delivering value for your members and students. If you're a business, this is about your clients. If you're a university, this is about your students. If you work on a B2B basis, it's about your suppliers and your partners. If you're a government, it's actually also about your people as well. Sorry, excuse me. You can see here the sort of transformation and solutions I'm talking about. I mean, it's very much about marrying the internal and external facing functions to create a single digital core. And just slightly conscious of time, we know that businesses are increasingly using digital to serve their customers. If they fail to embrace the changes in their economies, then the prospect of corporate failure may well loom large. Very topically and very interestingly, there's a lot of talk about the valuation of Tesla and digital car companies. As car companies, some of them haven't made a single car, but are they tech companies, and how do we value those? Are they changing the way that we consider company valuations? But on the digital front, I'm sure we can think of different examples where companies have failed to adapt their business models and it's led to significant corporate failure or reputation damage. But suffice to say, with the volume of transformational work is substantial, and that is whether you're talking about an education provider like ACCA or a multinational company's finance function. But the changes are significant, but the returns are worth having. And so there we have it. We have a transformed world. I'm really conscious of time. I've got a whole section on digital skills, but I just think enough has been talked about it already. I will share these slides afterwards, but we did, through our work in a report called The Digital Accountant, survey our members, our students, our partners on how they perceive their digital skills. We got some really good data for Kazakhstan, which I'm more than happy to share. We saw some of the big challenges that people faced, the lack of knowledge around existing solutions, poor data, access to the right skills, really, really big issues. You can see the sorts of technologies that are currently being used, and on the left-hand side, how little people are using in the sort of more advanced space. We expect that to grow, but we need to be able to learn to do that. Different types of areas, and I'll leave it here. In terms of how we develop the digital quotient. In terms of what ACCA are doing, we have our core qualification, and we brought in a lot of changes to that to make it more digitally aware, more sort of forward thinking. But in addition, we've started bringing out new supplementary courses. We have a new certificate in data analytics. We have a course in cybersecurity. We've got a course in the use of blockchain and CPD credits for that. We've got courses in fintech and machine learning and AI, because we acknowledge that our members, our students, professional accountants need to understand all of these topics. They don't have to be experts in them, but if they're going to operate in a business environment that is changing in a really rapid way, they have to get to grips with it as well. You cannot have people moving at different speeds in an organization, because people will fall behind, and parts of those organizations will fall behind as well. So if I'm going to leave you with one thing, it's really the digital roadmap, the roadmap for a digital professional. Be purpose-led, assess your strategic fit, and deliver outcomes and value. It's really all about value. And I will leave it there. Thank you very much for having me. I really appreciate the opportunity to speak.
Thank you, Vikas, for excellent presentation. Indeed, you mentioned that you are in between the industry and between the universities. So we really look up to the companies such as ACCA, your professional expertise, to understand how we should prepare our students, our undergraduate, graduate students, to the real job market. Thanks a lot for all of your contribution and our cooperation. Our next speaker, professor at Camet Business School and founder of the Asian chapter of Harvard Business School, Microeconomics of Competitiveness Network, Dr. Ken Charman, will talk about the role of universities in digitalization, at what university, specifically business school, does in order to transform the education where actually they can have some impact and contribute to development of the workforce, future employees. Thank you. The floor is yours.
Thanks kindly. Can you hear me, everybody?
Yeah.
Yeah, great. Okay, super. Shall I just try and share my screen? Okay, can you see some overheads on the screen? I think you can. Okay, let me. Okay, so I will just go through my overheads. It's in the 7 minutes. I'll try and stick to that, Asel. It's good to see so many old friends, and it's congratulations to KBTU once again on 20 years. It's you know, a fantastic journey, and it continues. It's okay. And just to let you know that I am actually I do a lot of work here in Cambodia, which is very important in building a university. I also have an official position at Harvard. I'm head of the Curriculum Development Council for the Microeconomics of Competitiveness, and so I work a lot now with them over in Harvard on the development of new teaching techniques, of which digital transformation is part of it. These are just a few reflections in the time that I have working with all the organisations that I've been involved in. I'm still a visiting research fellow at the Royal Institution in London, which I'm very proud of, and that's been around for 200 years. And that's made the bridge to the digital age as well. And I think that that's creditable as we all are trying to make that transition. And I just wanted to go through very briefly that some thoughts, because like everybody, I have been moving to the digital age in the last couple of years. It was a shock to everybody, but we've all managed it somehow. And I do feel that the work that I'm now starting to do on universities and competitiveness, it really fits in with what the speakers in both the plenary session and in this session have said in this really very good conference that KBTU has compiled. I've learned a lot, and my stuff, which is beginning to work on universities and competitiveness, really kind of complements and learns from what has been said. I do believe that employable skills and life skills are still very, very important. Many people have mentioned the human factor, and teamwork, collaboration, the status of university and the value of the degree in the workplace have all been spoken about. Direction, confidence of students at an age when everybody has to make a decision. Actually choosing that job, that career is a tough one, not knowing what's out there. And it's a lot of responsibility for universities and faculty that actually help them make those decisions. Okay. And looking at competitiveness, there is no competitive country in the world that does not score well in education. Education fits in very strongly to labor markets, goods markets, financial markets, as we've seen, business innovation, infrastructure. You can't build roads and railways without education, let alone digital transformation. So the education and the skills that you learn in education, even for their own value, are a pillar for competitiveness everywhere. And looking at practical measures that every student needs to choose, not only what will I learn, what skills can I use, how will I learn it now with this online shift, How will I get a job? How will I repay my investment? Is it worth knowing abstract concepts? Should I know theoretical economics, for example, or should I move to behavioral economics? I argue very strongly that psychological skills and social skills are extremely important these days, as many of the people have said here in this conference. And I looked at this particular, I put this together to look at the demand side from students. On the left-hand side, pre-COVID, and on the right-hand side, post-COVID, and the blue areas are the bits that have changed. And just some initial thoughts. And I've looked on what you are physically doing in class, that a physical presence in classes with online courses is no longer necessary, but gaining the attention of your students is necessary. That hasn't changed. Engagement with a few students, trying to make that engagement with the many through more media, through visual learning, dealing with the lonely students at home, because that's important too. Campus life means you can meet and socialize. Digital life has to cater for that. Okay. And I looked at supply side for teachers as well, that you're actually looking at big differences, as we know, post-COVID, that the physical presence in class, it hasn't happened for 2 years. But the idea that you can have much more planned online teaching from anywhere, but the preparation and planning involved is much, much greater. Your teaching portfolio now has to be thought of a long time in advance. It's very difficult now to be able to say, well, hey, can you teach this course next week? And you think, actually, I need to teach this course online. I need to be very, very much prepared. But student engagement, inspiration is still the key. So supply side from teaching in whatever level of the organization we're looking at is particularly important. We've got research has to be focused and for a wider audience to engage with employers, focusing on behavioral issues which students will actually have to deal with, the behavioral skills, the decisions that they're going to have to make in their careers is very important. We cannot ignore these at universities. So I say functional skills are extremely important. It could be accounting and law. It could be electives to consolidate those skills. Basically, it has to tie together from the student's point of view. But life skills equally important. Knowing yourself, understanding organizations, and the psychological issues and decisions that you're going to have to deal with is not an abstract theory. It's giving people very practical skills. Part of what we teach. Career path skills. How to ensure that everyone knows what flexibility means. How to change direction. How to move from one area, not only of technology, but one area of business life, perhaps from big business to entrepreneurship, perhaps the other way. What it actually means to be successful, what people want to achieve, and what should you be aiming for in your life? What do you really want to achieve? Okay. And these skills, I think, still are ignored by universities, but they're a future key to success that we need to have. Okay. Both entrepreneurs and building, as we say, I'm moving quite quickly because I'm conscious of time, but we really do need universities in the future to teach this. We need hubs of knowledge and networks more than ever, educating, motivating, guiding. Okay, education now is for many more people. Many more people can have can access MOOCs. They can access online courses, bite-sized courses, and many, many people are doing this. But I think to be affiliated with a great institution, which is actually teaching you the skills, giving you the networks that you need, giving you the confidence and the flexibility that you need is particularly important. And I would say encouraging students to think about who they are, who they're not, who they would really like to be is going to be very difficult with the mass of platforms digitally and career options that students have. But I do believe that if more people at the student age of being at university can discover their potential and what they want to be, then companies and individuals and countries and regions will be more competitive for it. So I really believe that those are skills that we have to teach. Guiding principles for universities: schools and universities should mix. Universities and workplaces should mix, bridge that gap. Research and experiment should be encouraged at a very early age, not as a preserve of the few, not that you have to get a PhD, then you can do research. Making people aware that all the knowledge is still there to be learned, and getting students involved in companies, as many of the other speakers have said today, is really, really important. Okay. So making top quality research available to a wider audience is key. It will be assessed, and the digital platform will allow this. And for countries, the best countries, I had done some work on PISA rankings, but the best countries in education do this. They engage, they embrace new technologies, adapt their programs, focus less on their own status and more on adding value to the communities that they serve. Teaching and research marry the two. And in my conclusion slide, and I'm sorry for having gone so quickly, but I'm very conscious that there is time limit. I say that we're going to be competitive if we have good education, and we're going to have good education if we have good universities and good professional institutes and organizations undertaking an ever more focused and diverse role in teaching and research as hubs and networks for contributing knowledge and guiding students, researchers, and anyone who wants to learn, and preparing people for life. And I think the digital transformation is very much a part of that, but preparing people for life in a very different age is what we're doing. Thank you so much, and it's been a pleasure to talk to you. I hope you've enjoyed that. And I will, I think I can stop, shall I stop sharing my screen? Okay.
Thank you, Ken. It's
Pleasure.
a pleasure to see you too.
Pleasure
And
to see
it's,
you.
I think so. It's one of the advantages of online format, meeting and all friends. Yeah. So
Yes,
and we
it's
have
really good
one
to see you.
more speaker, and I would like to ask our next speaker from Henley Business School, University of Reading, Professor Yelena Kalyuzhnova. Yelena, are you with us? Okay.
Yes.
Good afternoon. I'd like to ask a question. What do you think? How to maintain the quality of education during the online format? Could you share with your experience? Thank you.
Yes, thank you very much, Isil. It will be a great pleasure for me to share our results. But first of all, I would like to thank for inviting us. KBTU is a long-standing partner of Henley Business School. And the results which we would like to share today, definitely something which we share with friends. I have to warn you that the work is still going on. Our curve or learning curve is still continue. And the title of my presentation might be sound provocative: Are virtual background rooms a blessing or curse in teaching and learning? And I would build the bridge between my presentations and Ken's presentation. I was very pleased to see you, Ken, today here, that what he said about the embracing the new technology should be done by the universities. And this is what we were trying to do in the COVID era, when we suddenly we found ourselves in a lockdown. And I present today the first results of our experience. And as you could see, there are 3 courses here: myself, Tatiana Rosen, and Alena Khlistova. We did this work during 2020, 2021. When we start teaching online, we discovered not only that it is difficult to do lectures, but it's more difficult and it's required more skills to conduct the practical engagements with the students. Ability to engage students online and not talking to the computer and their, icons, it's a big task. What we heard during the 2020, that a lot of people people hated that technology, hated the idea going and talking to the strangers on the background rooms, on the breakout rooms, and also felt frustrated with the technologies. But that were everything anecdotal, and what we decided to do in the Henley Business School to find out what kind of experience in the reality the virtual breakout rooms would have on students and staff. And what we try to do, we try to introduce the survey, which we gave not only to our students, but also questioned our members of staff. And we try to understand their expectations, their ideas. And overall, we had 70 responses, where 40 members of staff replied, as well as 30 members of the student community. And what we found there, it's interesting. The picture was mixed. It was not black and white. It was really gray. Because in some sense, many members of academic staff embraced the opportunity, and they believed that it was a good tool for the interaction, for the enhancing the seminars delivery. It was a salvation in a hard COVID time. As well as 77% of staff was convinced that breakout rooms would increase the student interest in seminars and give something, if not real, but semi-digital in a way. 84% of staff was also pointed out that the format allowed to participate in the discussions, and the ability to conduct the discussion is an essential quality of the lecturer, and especially it was not an easy task in a digital period of teaching. However, and what is interesting, that 60% of staff did not look forward to prepare to the seminars using breakout rooms. I can tell you that myself, I was very wary when I had to go to the digital space and manage to conduct the lesson, but also see the IT stuff. But then I'll talk about this experience later. Although 58% believe that the breakout rooms increase student knowledge and basically crystallize their understanding of the materials in the modules. 62% of students also were positive about the collaboration within the breakout rooms, and 55% of students claim that breakout rooms increased their interest in seminars, as well as they confess that they were positive and they enjoyed this activity. Well, who wouldn't enjoy anything in a lockdown period? However, later, obviously, everyone would say that they prefer face-to-face interactions. So human interactions is certainly a rare commodity, especially in the post-COVID era. 44% of students were not complimentary about the breakout rooms, and they thought that it is a very stressful experience, as well as we had plus and minus. About 40% of students identified their developmental gaps. In a negative side, 34% of students found it hard to interact with peers during the online breakout activities. They didn't know what to do and why and how it will go on. As well as what it was interesting that a moment the lecturer would announce that I put you in the breakout rooms, the students would leave the seminar straight away. So that results gave us the possibility and the food for thoughts, and definitely we realized that there are pros and cons of the virtual breakout rooms, and if we spell out them, it would be probably an easy task for us to manage the problem. Certainly, on one hand, the pluses are that it's a useful tool of facilitating collaborative learning and interaction. It is a good opportunity to study remotely. It's a savior in a COVID situation, as well as the time saving. now I'm talking to you in an hour. I will be in Henley, so that is the beauty of the digital world. Breakout rooms enhance student engagement, and they become active learners. What is important for the good education, coming back to Ken's presentation, yes, good education, it's when we have engaged learners. And if we are just talking to the computer and enjoying the music of our voice, nothing will happen. However, we have to be very sober about these technologies, and we should realize that none of them will replace the human contact. And obviously, we have to understand that the breakout rooms, this tool required the IT skills. It's also related to connectivity problems, and you might spend long time thinking what's going on with the internet. This is why probably the body, the person who is your colleague, should be present on the background. And if something happened, that colleague would be able to continue. A lack of confidence of students and staff, and anxiety, stress, and psychological barrier. Here we need to recognize this problem, and probably we need to address this in a way. What would be the optimal size for such breakout rooms? What would be the right division of the responsibilities? Since Reading University has students from 167 countries in the world, we certainly might have a language barrier, and international students wouldn't dare to talk on the computer, and they would be scared. So that type of things we certainly need to take into account. And certainly the level of interaction between staff and students is limited. And as much as I love to divide the audience into several rooms, I cannot be in all these rooms in one go. It means that the presence of the teacher is limited. So what we could take from this analysis, this experience, it's certainly there are, I call them 5 bullet magics. It's the bullet points which we need to keep in mind when we try to organize these rooms. Certainly, when you go to the class and try to divide students into groups, you need to give them clear instruction. Very often, even in a big conferences, in respected conference, I hate this moment when the organizers said, okay, now we're sending you to the breakout rooms. It might be an opportunity to say hello to the strangers because you don't know people. But at the same time, you send me to that breakout room. What am I supposed to do? I might not have a clear idea. So the lecturer who is sending students to the breakout rooms needs to think about the targeted tasks for the specific problems. I'm sending you to the breakout room to discuss what is happening in this world, and in 3 minutes you will tell me your answer. Something like that. A clear brief before starting the breakout room activities is important, and that a lot of lecturers are good with this. But what they are not good with it, when they are returning students from the breakout rooms, a clear debrief is important as well. So why we came to that rooms, what did we wanted to achieve, and when we shared our experiences, so what the lecturer could do with these bits of puzzles together. And certainly individual engagement of students is important. This is why the conclusion about the breakout rooms, we can make it works only when we have 4, maximum 5 people in a breakout room. And definitely we need to realize the synergy and interaction between the participants. And that would be the secrets which we wanted to share this with you. And thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you, Lena, for your presentation and sharing the experience of the Henley Business School and your own research during this hybrid and online format of education, you specifically mentioned engagement, student engagement is something which is quite important. And I'm sure all of us educators experience a lot of challenges related to this. And how do we really transform the student engagement during online when you cannot see them in the class physically, but trying to push them to study and actually get some learning outcomes that we initially planned at the beginning of the semester. Thanks a lot once again. Our next speakers are also related to the education and how to ensure that education is delivered effectively. Sergei Serebryansky, Managing Director of the Janssen Consult Germany, and Katya Kaiser, Partner Account Manager at TÜV Academy. Please, the floor is yours.
Коллеги, добрый день. Я возьму право на себя делать доклад на русском языке. Мне надо будет монитор, да, свой показать, презентацию? Или уже он выведется автоматически?
Пожалуйста, да, заширите свой экран.
Секундочку.
For our English speakers, there is a simultaneous translation. So if you turn on the channel, Zoom has a separate channel on English translation. Yes.
Коллеги, всем добрый день с пасмурной Германии. Спасибо за приглашение в участие в конференции, посвященной 20-летию организации университета КБТУ. Было очень много сказано слов, было очень сказано много поздравлений. Мы присоединяемся. Я хочу просто от лица своих стратегических партнеров мирового знаменитого концерна TÜV Rheinland принести извинения. Коллегам, к сожалению, надо было уже возвращаться, чуть-чуть с опозданием, но я беру на себя миссию пару буквально информации показать, где мы находимся, что мы планируем и наши разработки. В двух словах было очень много сказано о новых разработках, как из Великобритании и других стран. В принципе, это намного мне облегчило время, сократило все, в принципе, предпосылки направления по профобразованию, по техническому образованию, повышение квалификации, они остаются. Как было красиво сказано господином Агарвал, в данное время уже нету конкурентов. Мы все партнеры. Каждый просто делает что-то, может сделать что-то особенное, тем самым выходя на рынок и обучая. Являясь, что такое Янсер, Академия, мы являемся эксклюзивными партнерами от TÜV Rheinland, Академии, которая, как вы сами все знаете, является ведущим партнером в области профобразования, так как и по Германии, Европе, так и по всему миру. И мы на территории Казахстана, а именно в сотрудничестве с Казахстанско-британским техническим университетом, мы подписали уже рамочное соглашение, наш партнерский договор. Мы говорим не о том, где какие самые новые разработки, которые были сделаны как на территории Европы, Германии, но и мы вместе с нашими казахстанскими партнерами с КБТУ разрабатываем, дальше усовершенствуем эту дуальную профобразование, программу, которая будет также и адаптирована, и сертифицирована для ISO, именно международные стандарты, как для Европы, как для всего мира и тому подобное. Я не хочу углубляться сейчас в те темы, следующий слайд, в те темы, которые уже 1000 раз было сказано. Я просто повторюсь тогда просто-напросто словами. В двух словах, пандемия поставила свои точки. Она сделала нам вызов, бросила, где не мы, люди, к этому просто-напросто на первом этапе были просто-напросто не готовы. Уже понимая того, что уже на полевой разведкой по месту обучения проходит не так, как мы себе планируем, то мы все переходим на цифровые платформы. Такие мировые гиганты, как Zoom, Microsoft и так далее, они стали миллиардерами буквально в короткое какое-то время. Я уже не хочу вдаваться в международные в проценты. Я только скажу, что в 2020 году спрос на профессиональное, техническое профессиональное образование, повышение квалификации в Германии выросло на 75% по сравнению с 2019 годом. Это вот как бы в двух словах, о чем мы хотим донести. Но все-таки я теперь хочу делать ударение, где мы находимся, почему КБТУ, почему Германия. Как мы знаем, что КБТУ является все-таки передовым техническим университетом, который работает также и предлагает свои разработки в области технического образования для таких крупных сфер деятельности, как нефтяная отрасль, газовая и так далее, где мы просто-напросто сказали, мы хотим с вами сотрудничать, мы хотим с вами работать и хотим с вами ваши разработки казахстанские, мы поддерживаем здесь, в Германии, совместно с ТЮФом и воссоединяем их в один стандарт, который этот стандарт потом не только является, где принадлежит какой-то лицензия казахстанской стороне, но и этот стандарт будет распространяться по всему миру. Это где мы находимся. На базе КБТУ мы в следующем году запускаем нашу академию, платформу Центр профобразования, где мы также будем обучать технические профессиям по нашим европейским стандартам с выдачей международных сертификатов от ТЮФа Райнланда по различным ISO-стандартам, с внесением, как говорится, в центральную базу данных, европейскую персет, вы все ее знаете. Неважно потом, где наши будут, говорим ли мы о студентах КБТУ, говорим ли мы о группах людей, которые уже учатся, работают в других сферах или отраслях, они могут на базе университета, как и онлайн, микролернинг, бленд-лернинг и смешанные корпоративные обучения проходить просто-напросто, тем самым повышая свою квалификацию. Потому что действительно предпосылки сейчас в данный момент такие, что я не знаю, как сейчас в Казахстане, Германия, вы видите, вошла в красную зону, у нас опять все закрывается. Предприятия должны дальше работать, как-то обучаться, как-то проходить технический, скажите, сервис того или иного оборудования. Совместно с крупным концерном Siemens также была разработана система дальнего технического суппорт-поддержки, где мы просто-напросто с Германии, с Норвегии люди сидят, одевают 3D-очки и в Центральной Азии проводят инспекцию всех технического оборудования, как и по нефтянке, так и в других секторах. Это и есть, мы говорим уже о новых методологиях преподавания. Буквально. Следующее. Какие инструменты используются? Тоже было очень много сказано. Что я могу еще как бы со своих слов добавить? Мы хотим, мы делаем, мы разрабатываем именно новые инструменты, но мы, как все видим, теперь мы просто сильно зависимы от цифровизации. Из-за этого, как и мы, как и Янсер, как и ТЮФ, мы разрабатываем свои платформы обучения, будут ли они офлайн, онлайн происходить, это уже все это. Но мы не просто разрабатываем их, мы разрабатываем совместно с промышленностью. Если мы говорим об автомобилестроении, так мы постоянно в дорогах, мы постоянно на заводах, как и BMW, как и Mercedes, скажите, Porsche в прошлую неделю вернулся. Мы по заказу этого отрасли с ними вместе садимся, обсуждаем, собираем их пожелания. Не просто стандартно, потому что каждый год технология развивается, каждые 2 года выходят новые технологии. Мы должны быть конкурентоспособны. Почему КБТУ, почему Казахстан? Мы не можем просто взять и один в один, конечно, это можно, но привезти в Казахстан и преподавать все делают. Мы должны адаптировать это под казахстанский рынок, сделать казахстанские предприятия также, которые по своей методологии работают, они должны обращаться к нам, и мы их поддерживать с уклоном на именно менталитет той или иной сферы страны. Это чем мы с КБТУ занимаемся. У нас очень большие предпосылки для этого. Мы сейчас в данный момент, только техническая уже информация идет. Ну, как бы в двух словах, коллеги, где мы находимся, кто такой ТЮФ, кто такой Янсер. Янсер – компания, академия, многофункциональный обучающий центр, который находится в постсоветском пространстве, начиная с Белоруссии, Украина, Российская Федерация, Казахстан, Таджикистан. На следующий год при поддержке нашего немецкого министерства, как и посольства, мы будем открывать свое представительство в городе Ташкенте. Коллеги, в двух словах, о чем мы говорим, и вот на этом слайде прям хочу ударение сделать, куда это идет, чему это происходит. Как мы знаем, в Казахстане все-таки большая территория, и многие сотрудники, многие специалисты просто физически не могут себе позволить находиться, сидеть в бюро и изучать на компьютере, уделять время. Из-за этого мы со следующего года совместно с КБТУ запускаем курсы преподавания тренеров, тренеров. И также КБТУ будет обучать по различным специальностям учителей, тренеров с выдачей, как я уже объяснял, международных сертификатов. Все. И уже тренера идут в наши поля. И, как вы видите, мы можем разрабатывать на базе наших уже платформ, мы производим виртуальные тренинги для коллег, которые буквально в следующий день выезжают в поле на нефтяные разработки, и они уже перед глазами, у них настоящая установка, где они уже много раз провели свои тренинги, тесты по технике разборки, сборки, суппорт и так далее и тому подобное. Коллеги, время действительно поджимает, можно много об этом разговаривать. Я просто перед всеми моими предыдущими спикерами благодарен, все прекрасно, все хорошо. Спасибо вам за сокращенное время. В принципе, много уже было сказано. Буквально в двух словах, я еще раз с германской стороны, как и от ТЮФ Райленда, с города Кёльна, как и ТЮФ Райленд Академии, с города Берлина, с города Магдебурга, мы передаем большой привет нашим казахстанским коллегам. Вам удачи. Спасибо большое. И, как наше в данное время говорится, будьте здоровы. Спасибо. До свидания.
Сергей, спасибо большое вам. Thank you, Sergey. And I hope that we will get the success project and get the best results in our cooperation with your company. And we have one more speaker, and we'd like just to introduce the speaker from Kazakh British Technical University, Professor of Business School, Paul Davis. And I would like to ask him how technology is transforming the work of HR professionals. Can you find an answer for this question? I shall try. Okay, let's do.
Okay, thank you very much, everybody. And first, let me begin by saying happy anniversary. It's our 20th anniversary, and it's a very important event, a milestone to celebrate. So it's a pleasure to be here. I realise that I'm the last speaker. I must have done something to upset somebody. But anyway, I shall do my best. And I promise that I will stick to the 10 minutes. I've even got the stopwatch, okay, because it's Friday evening. My name is Paul Davis, and I'm a professor here at KBTU Business School. And my main area of research and teaching is human resource management. And I wanted to talk to you a little bit today about some of the challenges with human resource management moving into the future, challenges with the digitalization of HR, and with challenges with teaching students human resource management moving into the future. Okay, so HR is in transition. For those people that might know something about human resource management, like many things in business, It's moving very rapidly, and technology is having a very big impact on human resource management and the way that we do HR in organizations, and therefore the way that we should teach HR to students. We're moving away very much from being a process-driven adjunct to the organization to being much more centrally located and being a strategic business partner to the organization, just in the way that marketing or logistics or any other department is seen. HR has taken a long time to get there. So we're trying to be a function that makes and saves organizations money, okay? And that's what we're doing in HR. Also, it's moving away from traditional functions, such as training and development, or the focus is moving somewhat from training and development and compensation and benefits, these traditional things that HR has always done, to emerging issues and trends that we are seeing, particularly in Western countries now, and I think we're starting to see the change here. Managing an aging workforce, managing violence in the workplace, caring about employees' mental health. These are emerging trends, and it's moving HR more away from the traditional focus of just process-driven training development, more into looking after the welfare of our employees. And of course, with new technologies such as virtual reality changing how we do training and development, companies such as the German Railways, the American Air Force, KFC is even teaching people how to cook chicken virtually now, because it takes less time, it costs less money, and you don't need to disturb the restaurant to teach people how to cook chicken. They can do it virtually. And so a lot of companies that have the money are using virtual reality to train their workers how to do their jobs. And so if we're going to be teaching students in university about the cutting edge of human resource management in the real world, we need to be focusing more on some of these new technologies. HR now uses apps to get rid of the paper trail. So employees have an app, they can manage their sick leave, they can manage their annual leave, they can put in requests for training, all without completing a piece of paper, and all managed by themselves. So the organization is not spoon feeding anymore, but we're getting employees to be more responsible. And that's how digitalization is changing HR. Artificial intelligence is being used in recruitment and selection. Humans may never look at your resume. Humans may not answer the questions that you have when you call the company. Bots are doing that. So we're using AI a lot. And so we need to reflect this in how we're teaching at the university. So we need to be upskilling our HR educators. Our professors need to be more technologically savvy. HR people are not known for being good with computers. I'm one of the worst people for using anything to do with a computer. I really need help with almost anything. And I'm pretty typical of people working in HR. So we need to partner more with the IT department, for example, with colleagues that have the technical know-how so that we can deliver better educational solutions, better curriculum for our students. Maybe we need to get a little bit more out of the class and putting on the virtual reality headset, putting people in a virtual environment to get them to understand what violence looks like in the workplace, or how to counsel somebody that has mental health issues. So we need to stop just sitting down in the classroom, and we need to do more simulations. Virtual reality technology is expensive. We can partner with other universities, get together, and we can share the resources by pooling our funds. It doesn't matter if you can't afford it by yourself, okay? So I think this creates some opportunities for us to do better community networking with HR professionals. Maybe we could start an HR club, or we can get HR professionals to come to the university to give not just guest lectures, but to hold even mini conferences or seminars for management students, for example. But we need to collaborate better with HR professionals. Inter-university resource sharing, as I said, there are many universities that are teaching HR courses at the bachelor and the master's level. We could reach out to those other universities, we could pool our money and we can purchase some cutting edge technology that we could not afford by ourselves. Everybody benefits. The universities work collaboratively together. The students have access to learning experience that they wouldn't normally have. We need to work better with subject matter experts. So if we're teaching in the classroom about mental health, then we need to invite psychologists as guest speakers to talk about mental health in the workplace and how that affects people. If we're talking about violence in the workplace, we need to work with local community organisations and get experts in violence to come into the university and work with us. So I think there's an opportunity to partner more with subject matter experts. Interdepartmental collaboration, as I said, with like the IT department, okay? It might be as easy as showing us how to use the smartboard, okay? So that we're not sort of just simply struggling without it and pretending that it's not there sitting in the corner. So we need to be better at reaching out, but we also need to partner more with our IT experts as we move away from the traditional methods of training. And 360-degree instructional design. The professor shouldn't be designing the materials by him or herself. The community should be involved. Students should be involved. Subject matter experts and our peers from across the university, such as our peers in IT. So this idea of 360 instructional design creates better learning solutions for our students. We need to embrace that and work more collaboratively together. So in conclusion, I think we need to embrace the future. It depends on greater integration of and collaboration between invested stakeholders, our business colleagues, our subject matter experts in the community, other departments in the university, our peers and students. Everybody is an invested stakeholder. Everybody benefits if the quality of education improves. So we need to work much more together. And working smarter to make use of smart technology. There you go, 9.5 minutes. Thank you very much. Does anybody have any questions before I go? Did that answer your question, Asil? No. It didn't answer your question? Thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you, Paul. Yeah, it was actually great to see as our last presentation today about like the role of the HR in this, because at the end of the day, the HR professionals are those who are hiring people, those who are managing, like on a company scale, the workforce, the talent. I would like to thank everyone who joined us today to our discussion, both online and offline. And now let's move to our Q&A session and start drawing some conclusions on our discussions that we had today. So we identified that digital transformation is actually goes through various stages, and each and every company, each and every industry has its own perspective, but also some common challenges. Today, our speakers try to identify what challenges do you face and how you try to manage them. So I have a question to our audience and to our speakers. In terms of the change and transformation of your business, digitalization technologies, what would you consider the biggest problem in terms of the managing this process, in terms of the change management? What exactly your company maybe is doing that makes your staff, your employees, your business processes actually go through these stages of either transformational or incremental change? So any volunteers, if you want to answer this question, you can raise your hand in Zoom and I can see your hand, or maybe we have some speakers in the class here in this room. So what do we see as a part of the change, the transformation that companies are going through? What exactly are these constraints, and how do the company manage it on the several levels of the company's processes, level of the company managing like talent, etc.?
Yeah, I can. Let me try to answer that question. Before joining KBTU, actually, I worked in IT consultancy, and what I see is that really that the companies are having difficulties to keep up with changing technologies. It is really tough for them. I see that this term digital transformation, everybody wants it, everybody think that they need it, but many companies struggle to understand what it actually is and what is it for. And today, it was in several actually speeches, what I've seen that companies started to develop a role of chief digital officer, and this role is now it's getting very prominent, and so these people, and it's difficult role, and these people actually start to develop this idea of implementing technologies into the work, into everything. And digital technologies are not just used for the sake of technologies. They improve things, they improve processes, they improve costs, they improve relationship with their clients, and so that's why it is. If you want to be in the market, you have to do it, and it is difficult. And moreover, what I see, universities also, if business have difficulties to keep up with technologies, universities have even bigger inertia for that. And so we have to also implement, and as many speakers today say, implement in our curriculum, in our classes, the content, the tools, and teach students how to use these tools. So I hope this would answer your question.
Yeah, thank you, Ron. Thank you.
Would I add? Yeah, and instead of the question, I would like just to give chance to give answer for, or just to make a comment to, I see among the online participants, our partner, our friend, British Management University. Golub, hello, are you with us? And I would like just to ask, how could you kindly share with your experience? How do you manage with this digitalization process in educational sphere?
Yeah, hello everybody. Thank you. Thank you, SL, for organizing this very useful and very interesting conference. Thank you for everybody who knows me, Ken, and other friends. So yeah. I think, when we are, of course, we are business university and we don't have IT department. We are newly established university, and when talking with the students, and we also have some guest speakers and talking with industry professionals about the needs that future or basically students need. They're saying IT. Most of them saying IT. Okay, generally speaking, IT. And when we speak with students, and we are actually starting offering some programming classes and IT courses to our students from a year for foundation year. And when obviously they are young still, they don't understand the importance of this. And when I explain them why they have to study, I tell them that you have basically two hands. In one hand, you have domain knowledge. Let's say it's finance, accounting, or management. On the other hand, this is IT. If you don't have IT skills, you will be similar to a disabled person. So this is how, we have to, we are kind of explaining the importance of IT for their future success and careers. So obviously it's not easy, and people are now, students are on mobile technology, and they don't use a lot of computer a lot. They don't interact with them. I mean, we only have the second year intake, so we don't have, the students are not really computer savvy yet. And we also have to acknowledge they spend a lot of time on their mobiles. So we have to prepare them. And we are also, what we did is actually we have introduced a minor in IT from this year. So, and it's without extra charge. We offer this as a elective 5 courses. It's introduction to programming, introduction to databases, some high-level language of Python, something that they may use or that will make them competitive in the job market. So we are this is all still a pilot stage, but we are focusing on IT. We think IT is future, and they have to know this, even though they may not remember. You know, even from my experience, I don't remember what courses I don't remember a lot from my a lot of let's say knowledge that I took while I did my bachelor's degree. It was a long time ago. But what we are focusing, okay, even though they don't know, they will not retain a lot of knowledge. They will understand. They may understand this dynamics. They may understand this, let's say, this lingua that they use, the computer lingua, and then if let's say careers in their careers, if they come across their IT role or someone as a project management role, or let's say some fintech. Something which is really, you know, domain oriented but still needs some IT support. So we are focusing on that. So we are not really we don't have IT department. We have decided, I mentioned, we have finance, accounting, management with certain focus areas, but we are emphasizing the role of IT, and we are already implementing some projects or some programs, minor programs, to help our students to become competitive. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Golib. Thank you. So, do we have any question from the audience? Yes, please. Professor Belen, would you like to add or ask? No? Questions?
Maybe not question, but I also can add something regarding the challenges in digital transformation, because we also discussed this point in our frequent conversations with our different clients. And the top challenges that were mentioned was first, lack of talent on local markets. The second was changing corporate culture. And the third one was bureaucracy, some legislation challenges, legislation contradictions, and so on. And if answering the question, what steps companies usually take to overcome these challenges, many of the most appropriate and promiseful tactic was again some reskilling programs, and we see already on our local markets there are some interesting reskilling programs, such corporate-wide programs where employees are allowed or offered to undergo such reskilling programs and to gather different interesting skills for the future, like artificial intelligence, digital labor, robotic process automation, and so on. And actually, in this tactic, it covers two topics, two challenges at the same time: lack of talent and change in corporate culture.
Thank you, Konstantin, for your comments. Indeed, you mentioned the resilience, and again, it's something that is quite important these days for the companies. And I'm sure, like, our discussion today covered mostly everything related to the current stage that all of us as a companies are going through, and what we can do to ensure that universities understand what are the demands from the market. The companies are able to apply the technology, and then, like, together in a synergy, we're able to move forward our economies. I would thank everyone who participated on our sessions today. I believe we already past our time. Yeah, thanks a lot for everyone. It was great to see you online and offline. I hope you enjoyed today's discussion and hope to see you all offline at some point here at KBTU. Have a good evening. Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good day.
Thank you so much. Yes, we have covered everything on our list. In this case, I would like just to tell thank you for all the participants online or offline format, and we would like to continue and have a strong links with each speaker. And I think so we have a lot of issues to discuss in our further cooperation. Thank you so much. Have a nice weekend. Okay.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Have a nice weekend. Bye.
Thank you, everyone. Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.